Hello again, and welcome to week 9 of the inquiry reflection. Today we are talking about teaching beginning students to read notes. So first of all, we need to start at how is the staff organized in music? And so we have to talk about the lines and spaces. So there are 5 lines on the staff, and we number these 1 through 5 from the bottom line always up to the top. So I give students this worksheet, and I get them to color each different line in different colors so they can visually see it, as well as put the numbers on the lines a few times. Okay, and then we have spaces. So there are 4 spaces that are in between the lines, and we again count them from the bottom space to the top. And for an exercise, I get my students to color in the spaces and also draw the numbers. So then we have a conversation. Oh, first, this is what the notes look like when they are on the lines. And this is what notes look like when they're in the spaces. We often have a conversation that notes are symbols that tell us to play a certain key on the keyboard and it makes a sound. Okay, the next conversation that we have is about the treble clef and the bass clef. So the treble clef takes care of the high sounds on the piano, and we use our right hand to play it. It can also be called the G clef because this spirals around the G line. And then I get them to draw the treble clef. Now, in this book, they suggest that you go down from here, but I actually find that it's easier to start at the tail and go all the way through the lines, because then the kids don't have to lift their pencil off the page. So for example, start at the tail, go all the way through, curve back to the 4th line, and then down and spiral in. And then they get to practice that. So I just get rid of these arrows that tell them to go down. And then the bass clef takes care of the low sounds on the keyboard, and we play those low sounds with our left hand. And it can be called the F clef as well, because this dot is on the F line. Then we create, some kids say it looks like an ear or a shell. And then the little 2 dots go in the top 2 spaces. So then they get to practice that as well, tracing first and then trying their own. Okay, so the next lesson is talking about middle C. So middle C is an important key because it separates the high sounds from the low sounds, or the keys that you would play with your right hand and with your left hand for beginning students. And it looks like a spaceship floating, or Saturn is another one visual that my students have told me. Yeah, so we start with middle C, and it is located on the side of the 2 black keys. So here we go. Here's a visual. Here's the special 2 black keys. Usually there's writing on the piano above this. If there's not, it's good for parents to write something or a sticky note on their piano so they can locate the middle of the keyboard. And middle C is to the left of the 2 black keys. Very important note to start with. Okay, so middle C looks like a floating spaceship, and it can go, it can have all of the different counts. 1 count C's, 2 counts, 4 counts, just the ball. The next note is D, treble clef D. we go. And treble clef D is one that they'll have to memorize because it isn't part of the rhyme, but it just sits right touching that first line of the treble clef. It always wants to touch that line. Sometimes I say it's doggy D, and doggy D is just sitting on the porch of the house, the staff lines, which is the house, and just hanging out, chilling on the porch. Okay, so then I get them to do activities where they're tracing the D's, they draw their own, they have to name the notes, that kind of thing. And then again for B as well, which is here. So B, we're in the bass clef this time, though B also sits right up against that top staff line. This is line 5, and that can really trick kids because the bass clef is a mirror of the right hand or the treble clef. So instead of it sitting on the lowest, right above or against the lowest line, it's in the bass clef. B is sitting right up against the highest line here. I call that Bumblebee. And again, I just say he's kind of guarding the house, the bass clef house. And then they get to draw their own, trace, and name them as well. I find B and D is the hardest for kids to remember. So reinforcing those notes a lot is helpful for them. Okay, now we get into the treble clef line notes and space notes, where there are different rhymes to help with each line. So the rhymes that are traditional is every good boy deserves fun or fudge. I'm trying to get away from any gendered anything in music. So I saw another one, every good bird does fly. If you have any other suggestions for rhymes, let me know in the comments. I'd always love to hear new ideas. So what I get them to do in exercises like this, so here's middle C, we're in the treble clef, so we're in the high sounds, is color the note and the key that you would play for each one. And then we go to the keyboard and we find those keys on the piano. They make a skipping pattern, so highlighting that is really helpful because it makes it easier for them to find the keys. And then we go to the treble clef space notes. And the treble clef space notes spell the word face. So that is very helpful as long as the kids know how to spell. But it is then one of the first words that they learn if they're taking music lessons. And again, I do the same exercise where they color in the F, whatever color they want, and they color in the key F. Oh, F's on the side of the 3 black keys. Using the black keys as markers is really helpful. And then A, C, E, all different colors. We find them on the keyboard and they make a skipping pattern too. And guess what? They are the notes that are between the line notes. So then they start to see the bigger patterns of the keys. Okay, and then we do the same for the bass clef line notes. Here, again, bass clef is harder for students, especially if they're right-handed, because it's the mirror opposite. So here's middle C. The first line, we have to travel all the way down here to find the G. So sometimes getting them to find the A first, which is a skip away from C, and then skipping 5 down to G is helpful to take care of that mirror image. So the rhyme for bass clef line notes is good bears deserve fish always. And then we do that exercise again. Name the notes, color in the keys. Let's go to the keyboard and find where they are. And it creates a skipping pattern. And then one more, bass clef space notes. So the rhyme here is all cows eat grass. And again, it might be easier to find the G and then skip down to find the first word or note in the rhyme. Color the keys and the notes the same color and find them on the keyboard. Well, I hope that this was helpful in helping kids to learn how to read notes. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.